Moed Tov, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful and restful first few days of Pesach with the Pesach Sidarim. I know it's been a very different one for all of us, not used to, not necessarily being with family members and with grandparents or grandchildren. And certainly one we'll always remember, and please God, we will be able to celebrate in the way which we are used to in the future. Hope you're keeping well otherwise. It's Sunday morning, a fresh start, a new week, a Shavua Tov, a Moed Tov, and please God, this week brings only blessings and only good things. So today's topic for our 10 for 10 is a ceremony which I think touches the hearts of many people. It's something which many shuls and many communities over the years have often done, musical ones with a guitar, and of course it captures and captivates so many people. I know we've had here at our shul, at South Caulfield Shul, on Motzei Shabbat, when we've had different smachot, different simchas which have gone after Shabbos, and we've done a communal Havdallah, and of course the topic is about Havdallah, and where you've had people holding flames and singing together, the lights go off. So it's a really special time as we, in a sense, farewell the Shabbos. And so I thought today we'd go through some of the symbols behind some of the things we do at Havdallah, some of the reasons why we do Havdallah and so on, and really just get that feeling of understanding into this beautiful ceremony, one which I said has captivated and captures the hearts of so many. So Havdallah, of course, the actual word means separation. And what are we separating? In fact, we're doing a verbal separation or verbal declaration made at the end of Shabbat or Jewish holiday between Shabbos, the sanctity and the holiness of Shabbos, and of course the Chol, the mundane week, the new week which is starting the activity. In the Torah it says, Zachoret Yom HaShabbat Lekadsho, we should remember the Shabbos and make it holy. And so how do we make it holy? So the first way we make it holy is on Friday night, we make Kiddush on wine. So we sanctify the day on Friday night already by making it a holy experience through the wine. And as we leave Shabbos, once again, we verbally declare that Shabbos is holy at the end, saying farewell to it again over wine. Now, interestingly, fascinatingly, if you look at the origins of Havdallah, it was instituted by the Anshe Knesset Hagdolah, the men of the Great Assembly, in the 4th century BCE. And the Anshe Knesset Hagdolah, the men of the Great Assembly, understood at the time when they instituted that many people couldn't afford to have another cup of wine on Motzei Shabbat. Times were very difficult for the Jewish community, and they therefore understood that they needed another mechanism to separate between Shabbos and the mundane week. And so they instituted that you could do Havdallah in the Amidah. In the silent Amidah, there's a section called Atachon Antanu. Later on, as the economy changed and people were able to afford wine, they instituted doing now the Havdallah as we know today, the one with the wine and the spices and the candle, but we've kept both of those. So we say the Atachon Antanu in the Amidah, and in fact, once you've said that after nightfall, after Shabbos has gone out, you have in fact done Havdallah, and you can now go ahead and do weekday activity. And, excuse me, just forgot to turn this off, it's making a beeping sound. And you're able to go and do weekday activity like drive home or use your phone. If you didn't say Atachon Antanu and you haven't yet made Havdallah, you say I call it a magical formula, in the sense that there's a line which says Baruch HaMavdil Ben Kodesh L'Chol, which means blessed is he who separates Ben Kodesh, between the holy and the Chol, to the weekday activity. But as I said, the best way to do it is to do it in the Amidah and then make the actual Havdallah on the way we used to with the wine, the candle and the spice, which I'll talk about, and then you go ahead and you can continue with the new week and do what you need to do. So in a sense, Havdallah serves as a very important factor because Shabbos and the weekday really have no connection. They don't have any sort of established connection to one another. And why do we need to connect to each other? Because in fact the week needs to be infused by Shabbos. So what Havdallah does, it's like the hand-in-hand connection. It's saying to Shabbos, we want you to be with us through the weekday in a sense. We want to have that holiness that has inspired us through the Shabbos to infuse our week. And so the Havdallah has made that significant and very important change by bringing and connecting the two together. It's established, in a sense, that relationship to infuse the weekday. Now, we fill up the cup of wine, we overflow the wine, over the cup. And the reason is because, of course, the wine represents blessing. We want the week to be filled with blessing. We also have the spices. So why do we have the spices? So a number of different reasons. Firstly, Shabbos has such a special thing for the Jewish people. It says more than the Jews have kept Shabbos, Shabbos has kept the Jews. So when we're in the mode of Shabbos, it brings menucha, it brings rest, it brings so much comfort to us to be in the mode of Shabbos. And of course, when we leave Shabbos, it's quite difficult for us to leave the holiness behind. And so therefore we need a bit of an upliftment. We need something to say it's going to be okay. And so we smell the spice, which uplifts our spirit. It says smell is the highest of the senses in terms of its spiritual connection. We also know that Shabbos, where Shabbos finishes, and I know that I feel this often, Shabbos finishes, you already into the weekday and you've got to start taking care of business and doing things and connecting with people. And if you work in the business world, of course, the phone starts ringing, you start thinking, you start having the tirdat hapanasa, the worries of a livelihood. And so the spices say also comfort and say, okay, it's going to be all right. And a more spiritual reason that says that on Shabbos we get a neshama yetera, we get an extra neshama, extra soul. And that's why perhaps we eat so much on Shabbos. No, but that's why Shabbos has such a great spiritual significance. And as Shabbos departs, this neshama, this extra soul, so to speak, leaves. And so we also need to comfort our bodies, our souls, as that leaves, and then we do that with spices. We need, in a sense, to have rejuvenation. The Midrash also says that Adam and Eve, when it comes to now the flame, of course we have the Aish, the flame, when they first discovered and were taught about and benefited from fire as the first Shabbos ended. And they thanked Hashem about that, which we'll talk about in a moment. And so we also thank Hashem for giving us fire, which of course has many benefits. And the candle that you use is an intertwined candle, which symbolizes many uses of fire, and of course there's many lights. It says Boirei Ma'orei, the creator of fire or light, and there's lots of different lights, the lights of the sun, of course, and lights that we have today in terms of electricity. As I mentioned, we have the Atoch and Tanu. Now, one of the customs that we do when we look at the candle, and you may have seen a lot of people, they hold their fingernails, they turn their hand and look at their fingernail. Why do they do that? So a few things. The concept of Bo'irei Ma'orei Aish, blessed is he who created the fire or light. How do we get significance? How do we get the importance or the benefit of light is to recognize the light. So it says that you should be able to see with that light the difference between coins of different countries. Now, of course, we don't carry money on Shabbos. So one of the reasons we do that is because we want to look at the nail being different to our skin. So we look at the light and say, we recognize the difference. Also, if you see when you close your fingers, there's a bit of a dark shadow cast. So again, we want to say the difference between light and dark. We're seeing that difference right there with our fingernails. The fingernails are also something which don't stop growing. They continue to grow all the time. That's why we have to continue to cut it, almost like our hair. For those of us who still have hair. Not much though. And so the nails don't stop growing, and so therefore we want to say blessing should also not stop. So we look at the nails again. The hands, in a sense, represent our work. By our hands we do our work, and therefore as Shabbos now goes out, we look at our hands and say, we're now separating from Shabbos, a time when it was rest from work, and now we can enter into the work. More spiritually, it talks about Adam and Eve, Adam and Chava. It says their whole body was created with like a nail type material. Unfortunately, when they sinned with the Eitz Hadas, the tree of knowledge, and they were going to be banished from the Garden of Eden, it says after Shabbos, when darkness set in, Adam and Eve felt this fear because they'd never sort of experienced darkness like that before. And Hashem taught them how to make a fire, and they lit the fire, and Adam made the blessing, Bo'irei Ma'orei Aish. He was very happy to have the fire. And it was at that point where he saw that his nail clothing had gone, and I guess he finally recognized his nakedness fully. And so in a sense, we remember that sin of the golden calf. I keep saying we remember the sin of the tree of knowledge, and say we hopefully can learn from their mistakes. Some midrashim say that the fire actually originally came out of his nails. Nails also represent klippah, sort of the negative energy, the negative things in our lives, and we get rid of it. We cut our nails. We know we're not supposed to just leave them around. We should, either bury them or burn them or flush them down the toilet. And so by looking at the nails, we weaken that force. It also says that the palm contains the source of blessing as well. So by looking at our nails and also at the palm, we see both at once. And so therefore we see the blessing coming in. So therefore that's how many people do it. They look at the nails for all those various reasons. So again, Havdallah represents a very beautiful ceremony. We spoke about the wine. Wine is bringing that holiness and recognizing Shabbos again. We overflow the wine. We spoke about the candle. We spoke about the spices. So hopefully we all get blessed with many blessings this week, and hopefully you were able to do Havdallah last night. Just very quickly, halachically, after Yom Tov, we still make Havdallah if it's not Saturday night, but we do so without the spices and the candle. We just do the regular Havdallah. And on Saturday night, if we go into a Yom Tov, there's a special order which we don't have time to talk about. It's called Yak Nahaz, the order of how we still do Havdallah even though we're going into a holiday from Shabbos. So wishing you a wonderful week and see you tomorrow, I hope.